This is Branding RX, your prescription for health and wellness branding. I'm your host, Alice Petty, and today our topic is growing your authority through on-air media. And I am here today with Mitch Carson, and he is an expert in getting you in front of people and on stage and improving your authority. So Mitch, tell me about what you do.
Well, as you can see, there are logos vertically, perfectly, intentionally planted on my screen. Those are the 5 networks that I work with here in Las Vegas, Nevada, where I'm calling in from, and live. I have relationships with these 5 network television stations to showcase clients from around the country. And actually, let me correct myself. They're Canadians because they're outside of the US, as well as I've had many from Asia, which was my former home. I had a group from Singapore that all wanted to be on American television. So I have the unique ability to get everybody covered on these 5 stations in 2 days, guaranteed.
Wow, that is an amazing feat.
Guaranteed, real TV. So I pretty much have swept the rug out from underneath the traditional PR agents who, will take a monthly retainer of $5,000 to $10,000 a month minimum for 6 months of a contract and might deliver half of what I offer people to get them covered on these stations in 2, maximum 3 days, depending on scheduling. So like next month in April is Black Women's History Month. And I was on a webinar yesterday. I have a armload of Black women coming out to exercise their specialty on television, because under what is called a media calendar, each month there's media that enables someone to tap in, based on their expertise. So these women, just by their heritage, are easily covered in the news.
Well, that's great. Now, my clientele is health and wellness. So we're looking at dentists and chiropractors and, anybody who's in the health and wellness field. And
Sure.
So what would you recommend that they do so that they can connect with you and be ready to connect with you?
Well, there are a couple things. In order to make the press and or television producers interested, you have to be somewhat interesting. And it's a little play on words, yet truthful. They need to do something distinctive. But I will say this, everybody has a gem that can be polished about them. We only have one thumbprint. When I was born, it was mine, and when I pass, it will be mine. No one after me will have my thumbprint. The same holds true for your medical professionals. They are their own expert. Doesn't matter what Dr. Bill did, Dr. Bob, or Dr. Judy Jones can be distinctive simply by having a host of questions asked about this person. There was a lady that was on a call earlier this morning before we're recording this, who is a doctor in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. Well, I didn't know that she had, until I probed and found out about this. She didn't reveal it to me before the call to find out she's coming out next month because she was in the military. She was the first woman to be a CW5 who made the Hall of Fame. She was also on the Jumbotron with the Atlanta Hawks because of certain accomplishments she made. And I had to dig to find this out about her. All of these are huge media hooks, making her credible, making her distinctive. You have them. You have to go against, let's just say we come from a Christian country and we're taught humility and to not brag. Well, suspend that temporarily. Brag like you're on the playground in the 6th grade. My dad is this. No, now it's about you. And you need to allow yourself to brag a little bit so it can give me the traction necessary in order to get you position guaranteed on television. And I have batting average of 1,000%. I've never swung the bat and not been able to connect because it's all about digging and finding that gem inside the person to give them distinction so they can be newsworthy.
Absolutely. And everyone has their own story to tell. It's just a matter of, like you said, finding that story and polishing it up.
That's a good way to put it, because you're in marketing, Alice, and it's you know, we're all unique in our own way. And it's beyond your mother saying you're special. I think my mother used to say, Mitchell, you're special. And I don't know if that had a negative connotation or positive connotation, but it was the truth coming from mom. So whatever your mom used to brag about you, or your father would brag about you when you aren't in the room, that's your brand. And that's what we need to discover, uncover, discover this about you and convey it to TV land, and use that piece of information, Alice, to give you distinction in your marketplace, because most doctors, most professionals will not go that extra mile. They have already gone through and have got their education, the diplomas on the wall. And I say, boring, wonderful. I congratulate you on all those years of formal education. Great. Now real business has to begin.
Yeah, and I have found that once you come out of those academic halls, it doesn't matter where you were positioned or what school you went to that much. It's all about what you do for me today.
Correct. What have you done for me lately? How
Mhm.
current is your press? What are you doing? Now, let me just ask a question, a rhetorical one. If you were to choose a dental provider, a dentist, a doctor of dentistry, and you go, you look at two offices, you walk into one waiting room and then you compare it to another. Each has very nice furniture. They have the aquarium. Okay. And then I want to talk about the wall of fame. One office has a host of diplomas from the great institution that they went to, and another one has a similar wall of diplomas of where they went and they got their DMD. Wonderful. Undergraduate degree was from XYZ University. Great. Credibility. Make it proud. Say it loud. Be proud.
Yeah.
Wonderful. But then one office has clippings or shots of them being interviewed on television, clippings and shots of them being on radio shows, clippings and shots of them being in print publications of credibility, either local or national. All of these are validating and credentializing the doctor or the medical professional higher than the office that has none. Who's entitled to charge more fees, premium prices?
The doctor who has been publicly recognized, the one
Who's
who's
going to
been
get
on
their
TV.
prices negotiated with more? The one with all the press or the one without the press?
The one without the press, you're going to go to and go, well, can we haggle a bit?
Well, can we? And it's proven because they don't want to insult the one with the high credentials. And
Exactly.
when you're not in the room, when Peggy goes and has coffee with Tina later that day, my doctor was on Dr. Phil. My doctor was on ABC. He was on the CW.
Mhm.
And then Bill, when he's out meeting his buddies and say, yeah, my doctor, well, she was covered on such and such. She was on ABC, and the presumption is using that credential to then brag publicly validates their decision to give their money to you. It's
Exactly.
a validation.
And it's a way of allowing each of the practices and the doctors to differentiate themselves from everybody else.
Yes, and
I love that word for branding. Differentiate is such an important piece because there are chiropractors, sometimes two and three on the same block. But if you're the one who has the press, if you're the one who stands out, you're the one
you're
who gets the business.
distinctive. You've also here's the subconscious or unconscious message that is going on in the prospect, the person that is giving you, that wants to transact with you. You call it a client, you call it a patient, it's all the same in the context of what I'm discussing. If you have gone the extra mile, if you've gone from the A practitioner to the A plus practitioner, because you went outside of the norm, got yourself in a print publication, on a radio show, on a TV station. Who do you think's going to be more safe when you make that decision with your health? The one that has gone the extra mile, has put the check mark in addition to the check, who's got the other asterisk that's there. The one that has gone the extra mile will go the extra mile when they care for you and your health. That's the message you have to understand at a deep level.
Exactly, exactly. And, all the academic credentials are great and wonderful, but you have to have something more, because every doctor has gone to university. Every doctor's been a resident. Every doctor has done X, Y, and Z because they had to become the professional. So it's not as an outstanding differentiator as saying, oh, well, he was on NBC. He's the one that they had come in and talk about X, Y, or Z on the news. I saw him there, because that starts having those little check marks ticking off in your head going, oh, well, this is going on in my health. Who am I going to reach out to? This
Correct.
guy in my neighborhood who I know nothing about, or this guy who might be a town or two over, but I've seen him. I've heard about what he does.
Well, and also one thing I want to mention, we when we get covered in the press, number one, it becomes addictive. It's safe heroin, in that once you're covered and you've gone through the magic and the transformative effect of being interviewed on live television, it's a completely different experience than something that's pre-recorded. Some people might find it make them nervous to even be on a podcast. This is more simple. It's recorded, but if it's live, elevate somebody. Here's what it does. If you're in Des Moines, Iowa, you're a medical practitioner, you're a dentist, chiropractor, what have you, medical doctor, and you're in Des Moines, and you think, well, why would I want to do TV in Las Vegas, where Mitch resides? This is my shameless pitch. Because you're then covered in the news. Guess what happens with the news in Des Moines? If they know you've been covered elsewhere, do you think that helps or hurts your opportunity to be covered in Des Moines? Helps tremendously, opens doors. Ultimately, the pinnacle, the Harvard of media is New York City. That's where you have to be totally distinctive. If you're a New York Times bestselling author, you have something that is completely unique and different, and then you want to get on New York, where you have millions of eyeballs watching you. You might have patients come in because you are, oh my gosh, you're on TV, you must be great. And I've seen this over and over and over again. And I don't necessarily have the need to be right. I have the need to be accurate. And when you are in the media, people will fly to see you because the perception is you must be the best.
And that's true. And it's all about perception.
That's it.
It truly is. It's all about perception.
Alice, I'm going to ask you a question. If you were,
Absolutely.
okay, are you a married woman?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so when your husband proposed to you in the past, if he came to you and showed you a Tiffany box with that blue rib, that distinctive blue color with the white ribbon around it, and he got down on one knee, you would have a certain type of reaction. Oh my God, he really went to great lengths to propose to me. He
Yes.
must really deeply love me. He packaged himself. He was clean shaven. He even put on some high karate perfume, which is an old, yeah, or whatever. He's wearing his English leather, cologne. He's looking good, and he ironed his shirt. All of this is packaged nicely before he presents you this box. Similarly, he comes forward. He didn't brush his teeth, and he's got a little bit of snot coming out of his nose, and he gives you a package in brown wrapping paper. And he opens up the box, and he pulls out a box, and it's from Target. What's your reaction going to be versus the Tiffany box?
Very different. Very,
Well,
very different. Yeah, I mean, I can't say but so much. My husband asked me on the phone. So
Ah. Well, was it a clear connection? Okay. That's unique. I hadn't heard that one. Over the
ye
phone.
over
Wow.
the phone, yes. He
Mr. Romance. Okay.
well, look, he'd already built up to it. I mean, he'd bring
Okay.
me roses. He was good. I had
Okay.
a child before him, and he was excellent with my son. So got away with that. Um, and I can't say our wedding was much better. It was at the Justice of the Peace with jackhammers outside. So,
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
but it's
But
stuck. We're 26. Well, oh, good gracious, we're almost 28 years. So it worked for him.
obviously it worked. That's fantastic.
Um,
Well,
but yes, out of the two, you definitely would gravitate towards the Tiffany box and the cleaned up. I mean, because
packaging.
it makes a big difference. It really does.
Yeah. How are you presented? And that's, people ask, well, what's the personal brand? What is your personal brand? I'll tell you what it is in a simplified version. What people say about you when you're not in the room.
And that's the truth.
What are they saying about you? How are you perceived in the marketplace when you are not present? How they talk about you. And part of it is your attitude.
Yes.
Part of it is what you've done with your appearance. Part of it is based on your reviews, which are incredibly important.
Mhm.
And all of these matter. I mean, that's a whole nother podcast about personal brand. But I talk about a specific way to raise it very fast, all in 2 days, all in Las Vegas. So you use that, carry it to wherever you're from, ultimately to get more press to create that snowball effect of a small ball rolls down the hill, gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So more money starts to collect with this ball as you grow.
And that sounds absolutely wonderful. And I know that's something that my audience is absolutely interested in because we're all looking for ways to make ourselves different, stand out, so we can attract that client that we're really looking for. And I know, Mitch, that you actually do books as well.
Yes, when someone, well, because there are several ways to get into the media. One is to create that distinctive message, finding that gem inside you. An easy, tractionable piece is if you've written a book. Why is a book distinctive? It's like a thumbprint. You're the only one that's authored that book. It's got your name on the cover. You've
Mhm.
done something. Is there another book in the same category, like the category that is so overpopulated, yet the authors still get continually booked as leadership? I was at a conference last week in Troy, Michigan, where there were 50 professional speakers.
Mhm.
Half of them were leadership trainers. The ones that had the books got booked, pardon the pun, overuse of the term, got secured paid speaking workshops versus the ones that did not have a book. It's a necessary component of success for any business professional. Anybody that is vending their service or products to the public needs a
Mhm.
book. It's just that simple. It's
So,
a yeah, it's a check mark, and it's easier now than ever before.
so
So
I know that means that you have to have a book of your own.
mhm, you do. It's
So
incredible.
what are your books?
I have a series coming out on the public speaking arena this year. I'm launching them all. I mean, two out of the three are done, but I'm launching them as a series at the same time, so people will buy the whole series. You don't want to write just one book. In many cases, I did write a book that was published with John Wiley and Sons called The Silent Salesmen, MEN. You can look it up and see. This was out in 2008, a long time ago, but it was a bestseller in its category. It also got translated into German, into the German marketplace. And in my category, it was a bestseller way back then. It also was on bookshelves of Borders and Barnes and Noble back a while ago. It is still in print. There are print copies, and it's all about using distinctive mail pieces to get people into medical practices, which was my market back then. So I worked a lot with dentists, lawyers, chiropractors, MDs, people that were looking to get more patients and clients. And this was a vehicle to do that.
Well, that's what I'm going to have to pick up and read for my own
Well,
sake.
thank you. And please write a review. 5
Uh,
stars I enjoy. So
I will do, because, I always am looking for ways that I can enhance the services I provide to my clients too, which is
yeah,
why we're talking today, because, I feel that you have something very important that needs to be shared with that base. And, you know, I am, like I said, I'm always looking. So I will definitely be reading your book and implementing what I can with my own clients.
Alice, well, thank you. And it's been my pleasure to be here today with you. Thank you. And I'm able to showcase what I do for your valued clients. And I hope there's some value that I was able to shed to these people, and they can use it and implement. I mean, get into the press. If it's impossible for you to travel, I understand. Get into the press. There are steps. Find yourself a good person to work with who will help you open those doors, because it will pay dividends later on.
Thank you so much for being here with me today. This has been absolutely wonderful.
Thank you, Alice.
All right, thank you.
Let's give a special thanks to our guest, Mitch Carson. Be sure to follow him on LinkedIn at Mitch Carson, Instant Celebrity. You'll find all of his contact information below in the show notes. Thank you for listening. This was Branding RX, your prescription for health and wellness branding. For more information about our podcast, visit us at branding-rx.com.